Most of us look forward to watching our kids grow up and venture off into the world as adults. But for parents whose children suffer from mental illness, that milestone often comes with complicated legal issues, pitting parental concerns against the rights of a mentally ill adult. In tonight's Focus Report, we look at the conversations some families are having as their children near adulthood. In just 1 month, Taekwon Pomar Taylor turns 18. Like many teenagers, he's hoping to get a driver's license. But an even bigger accomplishment will be adjusting to life away from home.
During my whole life, I've been struggling with change, so I'm trying to adjust to that.
Those struggles led doctors to diagnose Taekwon when he was 12 with ADHD, general anxiety and mood disorder, a form of depression.
It was like one of those old moments, like, it was like, okay, because if I had it this whole time, them telling me that I had it wasn't really going to change me.
For Taekwon's parents, Roy and Monica Lynch, raising a child with mental illness has brought challenges and rewards.
Working with him, having that patience with him was very, very key, and it's something I still work on today.
That careful support helped Taekwon thrive. As a youth leader with the Boston Children's Museum, he got to meet First Lady Michelle Obama at the White House last year. And this fall, he's attending college. But with Taekwon on the verge of adulthood, he'll be responsible for managing his own care, something that encourages and concerns his parents.
My fear is that my son will have a stress trigger in college, and not have a support system around him, and that will be the beginning of spiraling downwards.
Taekwon's parents have already started talking to him about his medical rights as an adult and the hope that he'll keep them involved in his care.
You can always hopefully catch your loved one in a moment where they're willing to sign off on that paperwork. And so I would continue to do that and just try to keep him close and just, share that I love him and I want to support him.
For parents of adult children with mental illness, medical guardianship is a difficult issue, says Gary Zalkin, an attorney specializing in mental health law.
I think that taking away somebody's rights and having somebody else make decisions for them, I think, is an evil. I think it's good to not do that. The tricky part being that sometimes it's a greater evil to not do that.
And for families like Taekwon's, Zalkin says it's important to have an honest conversation.
The tricky thing is, saying you're going to make all decisions when that's not going to happen in all situations is not good. It's important to be honest and sincere, but as much as possible to have the individual's wishes guide treatment.
It's a delicate balance, admit Roy and Monica Lynch. At this point, Taekwon has not given them medical guardianship, but he is involving them in his treatment decisions.
I'm trying to make sure that he knows what supports he needs, and he knows when that spiral might start so that he can kind of stop and ask us or someone in the school where he's at or anyone for help.
That's a key thing that he would always do, check in with home if he's ever unsure.
Taekwon says he plans to major in philosophy, and it's just one of many things on his list for the future.
My hope in life would be to have options, have choices for my life. I want to be able to choose my life.
My next guest, now 32-year-old son, started showing signs of mental health problems in the first grade. Lisa Lambert is the executive director of Parent Professional Advocacy League, a state organization of the National Federation for Children's Mental Health. Welcome, Lisa, to Greater Boston.
Thank you.
So tell us what happened with your son.
When my son was in first grade, he started becoming very afraid of going to school. It was a very clear thing that he had a significant issue that really needed to be addressed. He progressively got worse over the next couple of years, needed a psychiatric hospitalization, began medication, and we started to look for a variety of treatments for him.
What was he diagnosed with?
He was eventually diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder. But for most parents, they have what I call the morphing diagnosis. You start with a lesser diagnosis and it progresses.
And what happened when he turned 18?
We were lucky. I was prepared. I do a lot of advocacy, and we had a strong relationship. One of the things I say to every family is have a strong relationship with your child because you can build on that. But when he became 18, suddenly he had to make insurance decisions. He had to fight the insurer, for instance, for prior authorizations, which he couldn't do without help. He really needed to make treatment decisions, which he wasn't experienced in doing. As a colleague of mine says, they go to bed at age 17 one night and wake up age 18 the next, and it's not like they suddenly have acquired all those skills.
Did he ever let you be the decision maker?
Not formally, no. We didn't do it that way, but we had a lot of conversations because he really realized he needed help. One day he went to the pharmacy, for instance, and his medication needed a prior authorization, and he was going to walk away with no medication, and that would have been a big disaster for him. And he said, well, my mom's always helped me before. I think I'll call her. So we were lucky because it went that way, but it could have easily gone another.
I'm going to bring Philip Cassell into the discussion. He's the executive director of the Mental Health Legal Advisors Committee, an arm of the Supreme Judicial Court. So what happens now? Let's say you got somebody who ages out of the parental guidance system. They're 18 years old. They've got a severe mental illness, and they don't allow a parent to be involved. What happens?
Well, I mean, I think we should start by dispelling the notion that there's an essential difference of interest between parents and kids, because in fact there's not. Parents want their kids in the long run to be well, and that happens most often when as much agency is permitted to exist in that kid as possible. The more you take away their sense of efficacy, ability to control their life, the less positive are their outcomes.
But there's got to be, I know there's a whole range of diagnoses and there's a range of options for treatment. Aren't there some extreme situations where the person, at this rate, the adult, the young adult, needs some kind of intervention?
Yes, there certainly are, in order to protect the person. And the law makes provision for that. But in general, people do best when interventions are minimalized.
We have actually a list here that's sort of a form of guardianships. Maybe you can just briefly tell us, what the differences are here.
Well, there's a full guardianship, which would allow a person to make another person to make decisions for the ward in a wide, complete range of areas. Limited guardianship might be, well, person just needs help with their finances, so it'll be a limited guardianship to assist in that regard. Temporary guardianship, just what it sounds like, and Rogers is a process for forcing medications on individuals.
And who gets to decide which one of those you use? Who decides?
Well, generally,
the
choice will be made as a result of the person's conduct and what they may get referred to the police. They may get referred to a psychiatrist who says they need to be institutionalized. But most people do better when they're maintained in their communities. And there are a wide range of services that are quite often not utilized. For example, schools have duties to children, including transition planning until the kid reaches the age of 22. DCF has services for kids through age 20 to 21. And there's a great program run through Mass Health called CBHI, which has a wide range of services, including mentoring, in-home and out-of-home therapy, crisis counseling, crisis intervention, and most importantly, perhaps, something called ICC, or intensive care coordination, which allows someone to look and see what's the package that we need for this individual.
So Obamacare has only been in effect for a year and a half or whatever, and that allows now for somebody to stay on the parents' insurance until 26. Would that have made a big difference for you?
I did fight for an exception to that and had that, but what we've seen a lot, we talk to thousands of families every year, and what we've seen right now is there is a huge uptick in families whose kids are age 18 to 26 who are still on their parents' insurance. So the parent is often in the position of not really knowing what the treatment plan is. The insurance may deny something, they don't know what they're denying. It's really created a brand new kind of situation where they're still on the family's insurance, but the parents don't always have the knowledge to be able to be the insurance advocate, for instance.
Who pays, for instance, what kind of insurance does your son have now?
Right now he has a Medicaid or Mass Health because he's older and because he does have a mental health disability. But many young people are still on their family's insurance. I wanted to just also address CBHI, which Phil had mentioned, which is a Mass Health program, excuse me, many of the young people are not there. They're not on that program, and there's really been an effort by the state to try to reach out to them. They have really sort of voted with their feet and not enrolled.
Well, it's an important issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lisa Lambert, thank you so much for coming.